Today I want to talk to you about guns at airports, and particularly at the airport in Atlanta. The TSA finds more guns in carry-on baggage at the airport in Atlanta than at any other airport in the country. So I want to talk to you about what happens if you accidentally forget a handgun in your carry-on bags at the airport. It kind of depends, well, it largely depends on whether you have a weapons carry license or not. If you do, you're dealt with completely differently than if you don't have a weapons carry license. So let's talk about that situation first, not having a weapons carry license. So the TSA, if they detect a handgun, they don't actually arrest anybody. They will turn you over to the authorities. And in the case of not having a weapons carry license, you get turned over to the Atlanta Police Department. They have a precinct in the Atlanta airport, and they probably will arrest you because most of the airport in Atlanta is in Clayton County, Georgia. You will be taken to the Clayton County jail. You probably will spend the night in jail, go to court the next day and have a bond set of several $1,000s that you'd either have to post in cash or pay a bail bondsman, and then you get bonded out. At some point, you will go to court and for an arraignment. You'll probably be charged with something like carrying a weapon in an unauthorized location. For a first offense, the solicitor in Clayton County is likely to offer you pretrial diversion, which is kind of like a first offender kind of thing, but it's not official in terms of being recorded with the state the way first offender is. You probably have to pay some fees, go to some classes, probably forfeit your handgun, and if you do all those things successfully, then the case would be dismissed, and you won't have a criminal conviction. So in the end, it's not too bad. You lose your gun, you pay some money, spend some time, but you get off without a conviction for a first offense if you go that route. The biggest part of that is perhaps spending the night in jail. You invariably will miss your flight that you were trying to catch at the airport, and you'd lose your gun. Now let's talk about what happens if you do have a weapons carry license. The Atlanta Police Department views it as not a crime to have a gun in your checked baggage if you do have a weapons carry license. So they won't actually arrest you. So what will happen is TSA will turn you over not to the Atlanta Police Department, but to the FBI. They have some agents at the airport as well. They will not arrest you. They will either issue you a federal citation, kind of like a ticket, or they will just tell you that they'll be in contact with you later. You may not even they may not even seize your gun. You might be allowed to go put it in your car if you've parked at the airport. You might even still make your flight. When you get back, at some point, either you got a ticket and it has a court date on it, or they will send you a violation notice in the mail and tell you when to go to court, go to the federal courthouse in Atlanta. Ordinarily, I would not tell people who are going to court for a criminal matter to go without a lawyer. It's almost never a good idea. This is one case where I would make an exception if you were a first offender, and that is because of the way the U.S. Attorney's Office in Atlanta deals with these citations for first-time offenders with guns at the airport, and people tend not to repeat this because it's not a pleasant experience. What happens if you've never done this before? You get a ticket, you go to the federal courthouse in Atlanta, and what happens is the U.S. Attorney's Office will generally offer to let you pay what they call an administrative forfeiture. It's a civil dollar amount. It's not criminal in nature, plus a court cost for dismissing it, and they dismiss the case. The current amount that they charge of a forfeiture plus court costs is $125. So it's relatively inexpensive way to get out of the possible criminal violation. Now, if you don't go that route, and most people would go that route, but if you don't go that route, what they would charge you with is actually attempting to board an aircraft with a handgun. And of course, if you're only going through security, it's a stretch to say you were attempting to board an aircraft. So I'm not sure you could really get convicted of it, even if you went to trial. But given the extreme downside of getting convicted of that compared to paying $125, most people opt for door number 2 and just pay the $125. So if you paid that amount, you can just pay it online. You do have to go to court, don't get me wrong. But if you make that agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office, then they will enter that into their system so that you can go online for the Central Violations Bureau for the federal court system and pay your $125. Case is closed. They never actually file a criminal case against you in that instance. So you don't have a federal criminal record as a result of this. No arrests, nothing. And of course, if you don't go that route and you do go to trial, whether you win or lose, you would have at least the record of the conviction or of the criminal prosecution. So that's it in a nutshell. If you go the federal route, because you do have a weapons carry license, I'm hesitant to say this, but it's really not necessary for you to have a lawyer when you go, because they'll offer you the $125 deal. You pay it, and certainly you would have paid a lawyer several times that to go to court with you, only to get the same deal. And if something goes south and they don't offer you that, all that you would have to do at that point is just plead not guilty, not say anything else, and then they would set it, for another court date. And in the meantime, you could hire a lawyer. So with those kind of caveats in mind, I'd say you're relatively safe going without paying a lawyer to go with you to the federal courthouse if you get one of these citations. So that's it for today's video, and hopefully nobody has to take advantage of the information I've given you because you haven't accidentally left a gun in your carry-on bag. Thanks. That's all, folks.